Well, a good afternoon, viewers, and a very warm welcome back. It's good to have you here on the QTV by Liz and Jorga. Now, today we are looking at aviation. As you already know, most of the airlines will be back in operations by 15th of June. That is, yes, 4 days away from now. We're expecting lots of airspaces to open, and a lot of pending approvals have already been given, so they're just waiting for the 15th to launch. Very key and critical people that will keep the aviation industry afloat, and these are the cabin crews. We are looking at the health and safety of the cabin crew, the information relevant for them to stay safe during this pandemic period. We're just gonna have to cover a lot of that, and you stick here if you know one or two cabin crews who have been exposed, who has been working without an hazmat. You know what an hazmat is? You don't know what an hazmat is. That's why you need to stay. So the IATA and the COVID-19. So the International Air Transport Association is a trade association of the world airlines, which was founded in 1945. Now, IATA has been described as a cartel since it's set technical standards for airlines, basically. And it does support aviation with global standards for airline safety, security, efficiency, and sustainability. They have just released a publication which will be subject to constant review in the light of changing government regulations and requirements. And they gave a lot of disclaimers as well, saying no subscriber or other reader should act on the basis of any such information without referring to applicable laws and regulations and without taking appropriate professional advice. I don't know what that means. Although every effort has been made to ensure accuracy, the International Air Transport Association shall not be held responsible for any loss or any damage caused by errors, omission, misprints, misinterpretation, or any other of the contents thereof. Now, the Quarantine News is paying a lot more attention than what the IATA is giving. Finally, IATA has realized how relevant they are in the aviation industry, and just now when the world is about opening, the IATA are back with some guidelines for us. Let's take a look at that. Now, the situation changes frequently and regulations vary according to the routes being operated and the prevalence of an outbreak in each country. Now, airlines should consider the following when preparing cabin operations during the post-pandemic in order to determine effective risk mitigation which support their workforce and their passengers' confidence. Now, huge responsibility has been thrown on each operating airline, which entails them considering and classifying each route for the level of risk or exposure for COVID-19 in order to determine whether additional mitigations are required in relation to the service, policies, and procedures. Now, basically, from what I understand, the IATA has washed its hands, being that it's supposed to give guidelines for safety and efficiency and security and all of that. It's basically washing its hands at this point. But we're still gonna have to look at the cabin crew. Yeah. Now, just to draw your attention a little bit, cabin crew is one of the highest demanded professions in the world. An average airline, any average airline, leave the big airlines, them they have an extreme case altogether. Every average airline will post a cabin crew position or a flight attendant positions. In the very same day, they expect minimums of 5,000 applications. Now, I have not mentioned big airlines like Lufthansa, American Airlines, British Airways. They receive them in hundreds of thousands. There was a time that Emirates actually posted a vacancy for the flight attendants, and they wanted a specific nationality because they were starting a new route in that sector. And guess how many hundreds of thousands of people applied, and how many crew did they want? Not even up to 20. Did I say that? No, I didn't. All right, the risk levels will change frequently according to the rate of local transmission, booked passenger load, the length of flight operated, and other factors. The cabin crew qualifications, many states they vary. exemptions are there, training and initial stages are there. But now with COVID-19, typically there are exemptions that allow for crew current trainings to be done, to be reviewed, and for all of that, especially on their own safety when they are operating aircrafts in this time of pandemic. It makes sense right now to improve or sharpen cabin crew training. Cleaning, sanitization program for cabin crew training equipment, it should all be implemented. The question is, which airline is willing to invest in crew training at a time whereby a lot of airlines are actually laying off their crew scheduling? If a significant number of cabin crew have been exempted from the recurrent training for any period of time, the operator may be required to consider risk mitigations when scheduling crew members to ensure a mix of experience and validities among the cabin crew on any specific operational flights. While transmission of a virus is ongoing in the region of operation, the availability of cabin crew exposed to the virus may impact the number of crew who are operationally fit for airlines. Now, operational fitness does not mean that you are being operationally fit means that you can work, you are accepted, the regulations of the specific country that you're operating on accepts you, and it entails a lot of factors which is quite vast, and we will be covering that on a different bulletin altogether. We still have some time before crew positioning and flight duty limitations. Cabin crew may need to position before operating services, and the availability of commercial flights is likely to be limited. Yes, in the COVID-19, it's gonna be limited. Additionally, quarantine requirements may prevent crew from being able to get out of the aircraft upon arrival. Now imagine you are operating some 7-hour flight, and then you cannot disembark on your country of destination or city of destination. It means you have to sleep in the flight, whereby some aircrafts are small and they don't have like a crew resting compartment or something like that. A more detailed guideline covering all aspects of cabin flight crew health precautions during pandemic is probably somewhere in the IATA guidance. I personally did not find it, and following the many disclaimers that are there, I don't know what they mean. I really don't know. At least give me a guideline as IATA and then I'll work with that. But if you attach a disclaimer to everything, it means I am supposed to use my head as a crew, right? Personal protective equipment. Yeah, we have seen a few fashion shows. The leading one is AirAsia actually. AirAsia has some amazing crew uniform that has been designer made by one of the world leading designers. Yes, so I don't know if it's a fashion statement or it's a safety statement. Anyway, I'm gonna attach a photo right here. It's right here, yeah. I'm gonna attach a photo right here. Yeah, it's all fashion in the sky. Just don't know how many airlines will be doing that, but it is right now a requirement as per IATA, and we'll see how the first month goes. Some few airlines have now added even up to 50 destinations that they're traveling to, like Air France, like Qatar Airways is going right now 46 destinations. We will see, and they have not reported anything. You know, some of these people, they will not literally tell some of these airlines, they will not come out in the open and say, yeah, we have lost 1 or 2 or 3 cabin crews because they were not well protected. You never know. All right, we go to the waste bins in the lavatories. We know some of us passengers, we are very, very bad. This is what IATA has to say. Waste bins in the lavatories can be used for this purpose in flight. Of course, waste bins is for disposing waste. Come on, IATA. Basically, no advice for you from IATA. Dear airlines, you are on your own. Do whatever you want with the waste bins in the laboratory. Up to you. Do what you want, though. Masks. Now, this should really not feature, but yes, it's doing. And they had a full page indicating how masks should be used and how they should be worn. But still, let's listen to what they have to say. Mask. The use of masks by cabin crew on board may introduce communication difficulties. So they weren't talking about using a mask. They were more interested in communication. I mean, it's a very business-oriented way of looking at things as opposed to people's well-being while they are on board. For example, passengers who read lips will not be able to do so, while the crew and passenger may have difficulty understanding what is being asked of them if they cannot see the full facial expression. Well, makes sense. Fine, makes sense. Physical distancing. Another common sense. Another basic common sense. In fact, every government was quite fast to highlight on this social distancing before it was even declared a pandemic. Anyway, we have to see what IATA has to say anyway. All right, it's IATA we're talking about here, the cartel for the airlines. All right. Now, the concept of physical distancing is that every person is considered to be infected. Yeah, that's new. What are we talking about? Cabin crew safety. And this is what IATA has given us currently. Now, boarding and disembarkation. Where physical distancing is required, cabin crew positions during boarding may need to be altered. They do that before the novel coronavirus strikes. They're always on the alert. I have seen them traveling. I've got the opportunity to travel to some number of places and I've seen how awake they are, how vigilant they are. Yeah, they're very, very vigilant throughout the flight. They are these multitasking ninjas on board. Where physical distancing is required, cabin crew positions during boarding may need to be altered, for sure. For example, in areas such as the wing exits where it's not possible to maintain suitable distance from passengers during boarding. Additional protection on high risk of routes such as temporary transparent screen to segregate passengers and crew may be considered. These are people who are running out on liquidity. These are people who are laying off staff. You as IATA, you are aware that the airline or the aviation industry may not pick up at least until 2023. In as much as people want to travel, the confidence level is not there yet. So I would have expected a document to be released by IATA. Like, really? All right, passengers with disabilities. Yeah, I am hopeful with this specific one. Some passengers with disabilities may be more vulnerable to infections and will likely seek additional reassurance that measures are in place to prevent transmissions of infection from those who are assisting them before they are able to travel. Now, airlines should be mindful of these and may need to consider additional measures of acceptance or procedures that precautions are taken for such passengers. This is the first sensible clause I've read. Round of applause. They did well on this one. Safety demonstration. You remember the safety demonstration that goes like, dear passenger, you are on board a Boeing 777-300 on board to Nairobi. You may take a moment to locate the emergency exits, which may be right in front of you, next to you, or way behind. All have a green signs of a man is running. Now take a moment to look under your seat. There is a life surviving jacket. This one can only help you on water. Please note it is not a parachute. And we also have the ring bell, which you can blow. Right above you we have oxygen mask, which you open like this and you put like this. Please only scream after you are outside of the aircraft. Remember to stay calm. Passenger health declarations. Well, on this one we are expecting minimal compliance. In-flight sales, forget about it. Forget about the duty-free watches and perfume. Just leave them for the meantime. Anyway, IATA had to cover them. On higher risk routes, I don't know what you mean by higher risk routes. I really don't know what you mean by higher risk routes in this pandemic. So basically, no advice for you again. Do what you want. Following the novel coronavirus, the waste component may increase. Discarded personal protective equipment, masks, gloves by crew, by passengers, empty plastic sanitizer bottles, discarded sanitizer wipes, plastic packaging. It's a lot. It's gonna be difficult out here. Now, research indicates that the virus is more stable on plastic and stainless steel surfaces than copper and cardboard. This is what IATA had to come up with, and IATA has basically told the airlines what they already know, what they're already doing, and they did not need an international body to come and tell them. A lot of airlines has placed a lot of work, and a lot of airlines have also made redundant their cabin crew. According to the world statistics of what the airlines have gone through in this COVID-19 pandemic, right now about 40% of the cabin crews, whether it's a chartered flight, whichever kind of airline, they have made redundant about 40% of the cabin crews. Now, you know what that means? That means that each airline has kept their best. Each airline has made sure they kept the one with the least sick offs, they kept the one with nothing on disciplinary on file, they kept the one who is not very old, they kept the one who is never late for duty, they kept the one with the best feedback when it comes, they kept the one with the best scores when it comes to the passenger feedback. So, this publication by IATA, in my personal opinion, it's not a very worthy read, but anyway, they had to do it because officially most airlines are back on track. Things are gonna be difficult, so when it officially opens, right now there is a lot of caution with the airlines that are already operating. So when things get clearer, of course, I will be giving you more information as they happen. I have been your presenter, Elizabeth Njoga. Thank you so much for tuning into the QTV by Liz Njoga.